The first thing a Stoic understands about relationships is simple. The value is in who he becomes, not who he pursues. He knows that the more he chases after him, the more he loses control of himself and of the emotional game. The attraction for him is not in the search, but in the presence. A man who masters his own energy does not need to justify himself or beg for attention. In practice, this means moving away from the need for external validation. The interested woman notices something different. He is not there to impress. He is there because he knows who he is, and this is rare. Most are desperate for approval, while the Stoic remains steadfast, observant, calm. The secret of silent attraction lies there. It's not an absence of attitude, it's an absence of anxiety. He does not act to conquer, he acts because he is part of who he is. If that's enough for her, great. If it is not, he does not despair, because he understands that the acceptance of reality is more powerful than any attempt to force it. She will notice, it may even take time, but she feels it. The words he didn't say, the gestures he didn't exaggerate, the calm look in the midst of social chaos. This all leaves a mark. Because he doesn't beg for connection, he radiates presence. And in that presence, there is a magnetic energy. It's not magic, it's emotional discipline. The kind of discipline that only those who spend time with themselves dealing with their own thoughts are able to develop. The Stoic does not react. He chooses, it filters, he acts with intention. And this, my friend, is the opposite of neediness. It's charm with firmness, it's effortless attraction. It is the kind of posture that is not seen around, and that precisely for this reason becomes impossible to ignore. The Stoic masters the art of silence. Not that uncomfortable silence, but the safe silence full of meaning. He doesn't fill the air with useless words because he has learned that often what is not said has more impact than any rehearsed speech. In a world of excessive noise, silence becomes a force. She begins to realize that this man is different. He doesn't run over the conversation. He doesn't interrupt. He listens, and real listening. He is present, attentive, observing more than saying, and this causes discomfort. Because she is used to men who talk too much to hide the emptiness they carry. The attraction begins there, in the mystery. He doesn't give up right away, not because he wants to sound difficult, but because he is in no hurry to prove anything. His silence is not boredom, it is strength, it's peace, it is a sign that he is not desperate to fit in or be accepted. Often she will try to provoke you, a comment here, a test there, and he, serene, just observes. Sometimes he responds with a smile. Other times, not even that, and this "not even that" says more than a whole paragraph of justifications. Because he trusts his own posture, he doesn't need to explain himself. This type of behavior creates a positive tension field, an energy of presence, of firmness, calm, and this calm attracts, especially in times when everyone screams for attention. The silence of the Stoic is almost like a resistance to superficiality. In the end, she doesn't fall in love with words. He's enchanted by the posture, for energy, for clarity, and all this is transmitted, first of all, in the way he is silent. When a woman is interested, she tests it. This is instinctive, unconscious. She wants to know if you're like the others, if you will get off balance easily, if you're going to go after it. The Stoic, on the other hand, already expects this and is unfazed. He sees the tests, but does not react. He remains steadfast, centered. This indifference is not disdain. It's self-control. It's emotional intelligence. He understands that the game of seduction is more about who loses control first, and he refuses to be overwhelmed by impulsive reactions. If she takes a long time to respond, he doesn't freak out. If she teases, he doesn't take the bait. He observes, he waits, he decides. That's when she starts to question herself. Why isn't he trying to please me? And that's exactly what makes her want to please him. Because, for the first time, she feels that she doesn't have automatic power over someone. This intrigues her. This challenges her. The power of strategic indifference lies in not allowing your emotional state to depend on her validation. The Stoic was enough before it and will continue to be enough after. This makes him free. And freedom is the most attractive trait a man can carry. She feels it, she observes. She tries one more time. And each attempt without emotional response only strengthens his magnetism, because she realizes that she is not dealing with a reactive man, but with a man who chooses what is worth his energy. In the end, the tables turn. What started as a test turns into admiration, because the Stoic is not trying to win. He's just being, and that's more powerful than any planned response. Men who speak beautifully exist in abundance, but men who master their emotions, these are rare. The Stoic knows this. He understands that seduction is not in what is said, but in what is transmitted, and self-control is, by far, the greatest emotional aphrodisiac a man can have. He doesn't get carried away by the heat of the moment. He breathes before reacting. He does not respond in kind. That doesn't make you weak, it makes you strong, because he has learned to control the only thing he really can, himself. And this inspires respect, admiration, desire. She observes, she tests, she expects an explosion. But what he sees is a calm man who thinks before acting. This is not common. This confuses, and what confuses attracts. Because her brain has been conditioned to deal with impulsiveness, not presence. Self-control creates stability, and stability is something that everyone seeks, even if they don't know it. The Stoic becomes a safe haven, not because he is cold, but because he is solid. It conveys a feeling that nothing shakes, neither praise nor rejection. This type of man doesn't need to exaggerate to get noticed. He doesn't scream. It does not compete. He simply is. And that, in the midst of so much hustle and bustle, is a form of quiet charm. He knows that the control he has over himself is the basis of the respect he will receive. In the end, the Stoic does not conquer by mouth, conquest through posture. And that posture says, I am the same, with or without you. And that, paradoxically, is what makes her want to be with him. Desire, contrary to what many think, is not born of submission. It is born of resistance. When a man bends to everything she wants, he loses his luster. It is predictable. It looks like the others. The Stoic understands this and does not give in easily. He has principles. It has limits. And this is noticeable. When he says no, it is not to provoke. It is because he lives according to an internal code. He doesn't do everything to please. He does what he believes. And this creates a huge contrast with those who do anything for crumbs of attention. She may even be irritated at first. You may find it difficult, but over time, you will understand this man respects himself, and those who respect themselves inevitably command respect, and that's sexy. This messes with the deepest part of the female mind. The man who does not bend is the man she has to conquer, and this activates in her an old instinct, the attraction to what is not easily attainable. We are not talking about manipulation, but about value, of a man who knows what he is worth. The Stoic does not create artificial resistance. He simply does not pretend to be what he is not, and in doing so, he becomes an authentic presence in the midst of a sea of sycophants. This transforms her desire. It makes it more intense, more real. In the end, she desires not only man, but what he represents: strength, clarity, firmness, and all this only appears when he chooses not to bend. The gaze is a powerful weapon, especially when it is firm but calm. The Stoic doesn't need rehearsed phrases to make an impact. The way he looks at the person in front of him says it all. I'm present, I know myself, and I'm not afraid of what you're trying to provoke. And that's when the game changes. She's used to looks that beg for approval, that seek a breach, that falter in the face of any provocation. But when she finds someone who faces her safely and calmly, something inside her disarms, because her game doesn't work with those who don't enter the game. The steady gaze is not arrogant. He is serene. He does not judge, but he does not submit either. It's a kind of eye contact that says, "I see you," and at the same time communicates that he won't get lost trying to impress you. The Stoic looks in the face because he has nothing to hide. Many men look away out of insecurity. They think this is humility, but it is not. It is fear, and fear drives away. The Stoic learned that true humility lies in keeping one's gaze even in the face of rejection, discomfort, or tension. Because those who have emotional control remain firm. This type of posture directly affects her emotional. A simple meeting of eyes can change the dynamics of the conversation, the flirting, the connection. The look says, "I'm not desperate, but I'm attentive." And this is much more impactful than any ready-made pickup line. In the end, the Stoic knows that the eye is the window to the soul, and he takes care of his soul every day. Therefore, what she sees when she looks into his eyes is authenticity. And there's nothing more irresistible than that. The body speaks, and the Stoic listens. While most are distracted by words, he is watching the feet, the torso, the posture. He knows that the unconscious reveals itself in the most subtle gestures. And so, instead of reacting, he analyzes, he reads, he deciphers. She crosses her legs, turns her body slightly, throws her hair. And all of this says much more than yes or no. These are signs, signals that the Stoic man captures, not to manipulate, but to understand, to position yourself, to act with awareness. This reading gives him a powerful advantage. He doesn't insist when her body shows incoil, and he does not advance without noticing the subtle invitation. This makes him appear to have a keen intuition, but it's not intuition. It's presence, it's mindfulness. The most interesting thing is that he also masters his own body language. He knows that by being relaxed, open and firm, he conveys confidence. That by not leaning too much, you avoid looking anxious. That by keeping the spine upright, reinforces its internal value. It is not about theater. It's not pretense. It's self-awareness. The Stoic knows his own body, his own gestures, and controls them naturally. He doesn't need to show off because his calmness already communicates everything. And that's why, many times, he conquers without saying a word. Because the energy it transmits through body language is enough to arouse interest, respect, and sometimes even admiration. The Stoic never forces anything, least of all desire. He understands that everything that is forced breaks sooner or later. True desire arises when there is real connection, genuine presence and purpose in what is transmitted. And that's exactly what it offers. Instead of trying to be interesting, he is interested. He observes the moment, listens carefully, takes a firm position. And this naturally provokes curiosity. Desire is born of curiosity, the desire to unravel someone who is not desperate to be deciphered. She begins to feel something different. It's not just the appearance, it's not just the way he speaks, it is his presence. He is there in one piece, without haste, without pressure. This makes her comfortable and at the same time intrigued. Because he doesn't try to convince, he simply is. This posture comes from purpose. The Stoic knows what he wants, and more importantly, he knows what he doesn't want. He does not bend only out of need. He does not accept any kind of attention. This shows value. It shows discernment. And female desire is profoundly activated by men who have clarity. Unlike the classical seducer, the Stoic does not seduce by performance. He seduces by his emotional stability, and that stability creates a deeper kind of desire, not that passing fire, but an attraction that grows over time. In the end, he knows that if it's going to happen, it will happen. And that true desire is not snatched away, it is inspired through presence, through purpose, and above all, through authenticity. Chasing is for those who are lost. The Stoic man attracts, not because he wants to prove something, but because he has become someone impossible to ignore. And that's the central point. It doesn't mold itself to please. It evolves to be better. And this quiet evolution is what makes it so attractive. He does not live in a hurry. He understands that each interaction has its time, that there is no point in accelerating something that needs to mature. So instead of chasing, he takes care of himself, of your mind, of your body, of your energy. He positions himself as a presence that stands out. She feels it. Among so many who approach with anxiety, there is one who remains centered. That is not shaken by lengthy answers. That doesn't change its essence to please. And that moves her. Because he doesn't seem to need it, and yet it's there. This changes the whole dynamic. Because unlike the reactive man, the Stoic does not revolve around her. It revolves around the principles themselves. And that's a magnet, the kind of force that doesn't beg, just invites. And this invitation is powerful. The attraction becomes inevitable because it is rare. And everything that is rare naturally attracts. Not out of need, but out of value. And perceived value is what determines the game of seduction. It has always been like this. In the end, the man who attracts without running is the one who has become magnetic by the simple fact of having become whole. And this fullness is irresistible. Most people follow a predictable script: flattery, expectation, frustration. But the Stoic gets out of this cycle. He doesn't play the same game. It does not use the same strategies. And precisely for this reason, it becomes unforgettable. Because he is the exception. She meets several men in a month. Some say the same things, make the same gestures, follow the same pattern. But then someone comes along who doesn't rush, who doesn't explain himself too much, who doesn't react to every signal. Someone who observes, that thinks, who acts with purpose. This man remains in the memory. He stands out, not for being performative, but for being authentic. While the others show themselves too much, he shows just enough. And this creates space for her to imagine, think, project. The well-dosed mystery does not confuse, it intrigues, and the Stoic knows it. But it's not just about what he hides, it's about what it shows: calmness, firmness, respect for oneself. He does not try to conquer through promises, but through posture. Posture that communicates value, even in silence, and this value marks. Even after days, she remembers him. Remember the way he spoke, the way he didn't hurry, from the safe look of comfortable silence. Because, while everyone else was trying something, he was just being. And being, in this world of masks, is rare. In the end, the Stoic becomes unforgettable because he doesn't want to be remembered. He wants to be true. And it is the truth, even in small doses, that remains. Before you even open your mouth, she has already felt something. It wasn't his words that aroused interest. It was his energy. The way you entered the environment, how you looked, how you behaved. The Stoic knows that what he communicates the most is precisely what he does not verbalize. This feminine perception is almost instinctive. They notice small nuances, from their facial expression to their posture. If you're anxious, if you're trying to impress, if you're needy, all of this is captured in seconds. The Stoic, on the other hand, is in no hurry. He knows that his silence speaks for him. He walks into a place and doesn't have to be the most talkative. His presence already occupies space. It's not arrogance, it's consistency. The kind of energy that says, I'm comfortable with myself, and you're going to feel it even without me saying anything. This intrigues her. This makes her pay attention, because most are too busy trying to show off. He didn't. He lives in the present time. He doesn't force smiles. He doesn't make excessive jokes. He just observes, interacts calmly, and this creates a field of curiosity, a magnetism that does not depend on the volume of the voice. And the most interesting thing, the more it conveys this silent security, the more it opens up, because the woman feels she can trust. She realizes that she is facing someone who is not desperate for attention, and this is extremely attractive. In the end, the Stoic understands that silence is not empty. It is a field of power. And the more he dominates this field, the more he is perceived, even without saying a word. Many men don't realize that by giving too much, they're losing value. They think they're being kind, approachable partners. But from her point of view, this constant submission begins to look like weakness, and the desire disappears. The Stoic understands this, and that's why he doesn't give in at any cost. He respects his own limits. He knows how to say no when necessary, and this no comes with firmness, not aggressiveness. He does not mold himself to any external desire just to be accepted, because he knows that when you cancel yourself out to please, the other loses respect without even realizing it. It is natural. The human being desires what imposes value, and what has value is not available at any time anyway. The Stoic stands firm in his convictions. He listens, considers, but does not abandon his principles for fear of rejection. When a woman meets this type of man, something changes in her. Instead of moving away, she moves closer, because you've finally found someone who isn't looking for approval, but who offers clarity. Clarity is a kind of security, and security attracts. If he gave in to everything, she would judge him, even if unconsciously. It is the silent judgment that says he is too good, too easy, and the too easy in this game loses value. That is why the Stoic remains. He does not provoke, but he does not lower himself either. In the end, she may even move away at first, but if it is to return, it will be with more respect, because she understood this man is not here to be molded. He is here to live the truth itself. While many men get caught up in what women say, the Stoic pays attention to what the body reveals. The position of the feet, the direction of the torso, the movement of the hands, all of this gives away what is really being felt. And those who know how to listen to these signs see beyond words. She may be saying she's not interested, but her feet are pointed at him. She may be laughing with her friends, but her gaze insists on coming back. He may be feigning indifference, but his body language delivers tension, expectation. The Stoic picks up on these signals and acts wisely. He does not rush. It doesn't force the bar, just observe. And when he feels real openness, he approaches calmly. This creates a different atmosphere where the mood is built in a natural way, not based on ready-made phrases, but on perception. At the same time, he takes care of his own body language. He is always aligned with calm gestures, a clean look, and a firm posture, because he knows that all of this communicates his essence, and more, that the coherence between what he feels and what he demonstrates is what generates trust. This body reading also protects him. He notices when she is not at ease, when there is discomfort, when it's not the time. And this sensitivity avoids embarrassing situations. He understands that not every approach is necessary, and this selectivity sets him apart. In the end, the body speaks, always, and the Stoic listens, not to manipulate but to respect, understand, and position himself intelligently. That is why he seldom makes mistakes, because before acting, he observes deeply. There is a silent force in the act of leaving. The Stoic man understands that insisting where there is no reciprocity is a form of violence. He knows his own worth and therefore retreats when he feels that he is not welcomed, not out of pride, but out of dignity. While many remain where they are not wanted, trying to prove something, he simply gets up and goes, and this movement is powerful. Because when he leaves a mark, an absence that screams more than any speech. She notices. She realizes that he doesn't beg, doesn't beg for attention, doesn't try to convince anyone. And often, this gesture is what makes her rethink, because most would insist, but he didn't, and that makes it unique. This kind of behavior is not coldness, it's self-awareness. It's knowing when something isn't for you and having the courage to let go. The Stoic values his energy, and it does not waste where there is no fertile ground. This is more than wisdom, it's emotional freedom. Paradoxically, this distancing usually generates an impact because she realizes that she has lost someone who was not ordinary, someone who had enough clarity to leave without creating drama. And this, in a world of emotional excesses, is rare. In the end, knowing how to leave is not giving up. It is knowing when everything you could have been given. And this ability is one of the greatest displays of strength a man can have. The Stoic does not play to conquer. He lives to evolve. His priority is never to make her come to me, but rather to make me someone so aligned, so firm, so true, that you can't ignore my presence. And this is the differential. He doesn't try to be seen. It builds itself every day to be worthy of being noticed. While many are concerned with appearances, he takes care of the essence, and the essence, when it is strong, appears. Without effort, without shouting, she feels it. In a crowded environment, it is there that the eyes stop. Not for beauty, not for status, but for energy. He is whole, insurance, centered. And that makes it stand out, because most are still wondering what they need to do to get noticed. The Stoic has already understood. It is not a matter of doing, but of being. To be so authentic, so whole, so conscious that his presence is enough. This creates an almost invisible but intense force of attraction. Something she doesn't know how to explain, she just feels. And make no mistake, this isn't about conquering them all. It's about being true to yourself, and consequently, attract those who really connect with what you are. There is no manipulation, there are no tricks, just coherence. In the end, the Stoic man doesn't wait for her to come. But as it becomes impossible to ignore, she inevitably feels like getting closer. And this is the most genuine achievement that exists.